Travis and Victor, they sit down to chat with a coffee in hand and a book in the flat. They stumble through pages, misread every line, but laughter erupts, oh, they're doing just fine. It's all in the fun, no need to impress. Three best friends making a literary mess.
Recording. All right, we're good to go whenever. But yeah, I'm excited to hear about this. I sure am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to read the book, I'd like to know something about it so that I can be like, oh. Because otherwise
I'd like
it's
to
going to be
consider myself a subject matter expert.
Yeah, that's what this is. I mean, I want to, like, when we read the book, I want to be able to be like,
Yeah.
Shit. Because otherwise it's going to be you and Vic texting about it. And be like, I read that too.
Vic was already texting about it. He's like, dude, it gave me chills. I'm like, spoiler.
Okay. Yeah, spoilers, dude.
Yeah. But I was happy that he gave... Yeah, right. I was happy that he was like, you should definitely, like, do some stuff to, like, get refamiliarized. Not in the sense of, like it's important, but just to get, like, hyped up, you know?
Okay.
Like get the energy back.
Yeah.
About the characters.
It's interesting they're going prequels with the books, because there's a fourth book. This is the fifth book, right?
Yes, this is the fifth book.
And the fourth one's also a prequel.
Yeah.
Is this a sequel to the prequel?
Kinda. It's like pretty far off though. So, do we want to like introduce the pod first before we kind of like get into things?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Do you want to do it? I'll do it. Doesn't matter.
We should have Vic do it.
Yeah, Vic, go ahead. Nice. Okay.
Vic, I think your mic's off.
Yeah, Vic, you might be muted, dude.
I think your camera's off too.
Wait. He's not even in the call. Yeah, so Vic's not going to be here for those. We fired him. For those wondering, he's fired. That's what happened. Very dramatic, very messy.
But we're going to keep it in-house.
We're going to keep it in-house. We're not going to tell you guys anything about it. And when he's back in like a month or two, you guys are going to be so confused.
Yeah, but just don't worry about it.
Yeah, just don't even think about it.
It was dramatic and bad.
Yeah, just picture the worst scenario you can think of. It was worse. So
yeah, like 10 times worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, really, Vic's not going to be here for a little bit, but he'll be back. Don't worry about it. So if you have questions, keep them to yourself. We're not answering.
And we apologize for being MIA. We got busy.
Yeah.
You know, the sun came out. It started getting a little bit warm.
But
and we got busy.
We're back.
I'm
also about to be very busy moving, though. But we're still going to be putting episodes out when we can. So stay tuned for that.
We're going to try and stick to a schedule, but don't hold us to it.
Yeah, we'll try our best. But otherwise,
give us some flexibility.
Buckle up, because it's going to be a rocky ride.
But yeah, we're doing a little bit of a silly episode because we've decided that our next book is going to be The Sunrise on the Reaping, the new Hunger Games series book that came out. And Joe knows nothing about the Hunger Games.
Never read them. Saw part of the first movie, certainly, at some point in, like, high school. I don't know if I even saw the whole thing, though. I can't tell you anything that happens or any of the characters' names. So this episode is Travis is going to catch me up on the Hunger Games, and then we're going to read the new book, which is very exciting. It seems to be very popular. Even on my personal Instagram feed, I've seen a lot of it. So I feel like this is hot in the streets right now.
Yeah, there was a bunch of closeted book people on my personal feed that were posting about the book, and I was like, yep, that's how popular this book is. Like, non-book people are booking.
Yeah, our culture is not their costume, but they can do whatever they want. They can read the book if they want. I'm happy for them.
We're an inclusive group.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. Not these people faking, trying to be us or anything. I would never say something like that.
But yeah, we thought it would be fun for me to do like a little explained to Joe, kind of give him a high level so that like he's not going into this book totally blind with everything. And Hunger Games is one of my favorite series. I read it when I was in high school, read it again in college, and I think I've watched all the movies like once a year since they've been out. So it's like one of my favorite ones. And it was the first recommendation that Vic gave me after reading the Red Rising series, because I wasn't even aware that the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which was the fourth book, came out. Yeah, so I read that, and I read that, which was actually perfect timing because the movie was about to come out. So I read it, and then the movie came out like 3 days after I finished it. So I got to go watch the movie, which is always just a bad experience, though, because you just lived and died on a book, and then you go and see a movie, and it's obviously not exactly what you read.
Yeah, that is tough with book to movie adaptations, but only the best stories get updated or get a movie. So I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to hear about it. I'm excited. I'm sure we're gonna run into this issue with other books as well. This one's gonna be turned into a movie too, or no? I would assume yes, right?
Yeah, I think I saw November 2026 is when they're like shooting to release it, which isn't that far out. I guess like 18 months, and they got to do everything.
Gives those slow readers a chance to get through the whole book.
Like us.
Like us, yeah. Although we're going to be done with it quick. I think it's in 3 parts, he said, so we're going to break it up into 3 parts as well. This will kind of be part 1, kind of bonus episode, so enjoy.
Yeah. So I think your the first question you asked kind of before we did that little intro was, is this kind of a carry on of the first of the prequels, not the original series, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the first one was about, I want to say it was 14 years before this one, I guess. So it's been a little bit there, but it is still way before the original Hunger Games series kind of takes place.
Do you know how long it is between this book and the Hunger Games? I mean, we haven't read the book yet, so it might be a tough question.
Yeah, I think that is, it's another 24 years, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It's been 24 or 25 years.
So at this point, Katniss, is she even alive yet?
That real quick. Let me double check that real quick. I don't believe she is. Yeah. So it's 24 years before the first one.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also,
so it's actually been. Yeah, it's because I switched screens, but it's actually like way longer than the first one, because the first one covered the 10th Hunger Games. So this one's covering the 50th, and then the original series covers the 74th and 75th Hunger Games. Wow. They do one a year. Okay. Yeah, so it's been a while there. But
let's start with a very base level question here that I wrote down. What's the Hunger Games?
So the Hunger Games is what the current government and capital of their country is doing to kind of enforce their power, I guess. So the way their society is set up is they live in the country called Panem, essentially. So you have the capital, and then you have 12 districts, essentially, which are like their provinces, states, or whatever it is. And 74 years ago from the original Hunger Games, 50 years ago from where we're reading this one, the districts tried to do an uprising, a coup against the government, because they were like, you guys are oppressive, we don't want you anymore. And they lost the war. So now that government, as a way to try and keep the districts and the people under their thumb and kind of, enforce their power, is they do a Hunger Games every year, where essentially they choose a male and a girl tribute or candidate from each district to battle to the death in an arena.
Sick. So Fortnite.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is the idea for Fortnite.
Yes, exactly.
Sick.
So they've been doing that for however long, and then each quarter, so every 25, they do a bonus, essentially. For every 25 years, they do something fun and something special.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what they did for the first one. In this one, where we're following around Haymitch, who is the main character of this book that we're about to read, The Sunrise on the Reaping, his twist was that they do double the entries. So there's 2 boys and 2 girls from each district that go in. So instead of there being 24 people battling to the death, there was 48.
And that's the 25th Hunger Games, or that's the 50th one?
50th.
Okay, gotcha. And Haymitch, is he in the newer series?
Yeah. So the original, he's not in the newer series. So like the one that just came out, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He is not. That one is the backstory of the president of the newer age ones, the ones with Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Gotcha.
So the president of Panem of the Capitol, the guy kind of in charge, the main antagonist, that was his prequel, kind of like his upbringing, how he got involved in everything, kind of his background story. And then this one is the background of Haymitch. And Haymitch is the coach to Jennifer Lawrence and I forget the guy actor in there, but he's their coach as they got selected for their Hunger Games series.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
And he
must
played
have
a
been
big
pretty
role.
good to survive that long then.
Yeah, because he plays a very big role in it because he comes from District 12. So kind of, I guess the main characters that you need to know of are Haymitch, who's going to be the main character here. He won that 50th Hunger Games, and he's the coach to Katniss and Peeta, who are the main characters of the original series.
Gotcha. All right.
Katniss is the girl. She's kind of the main
girl on fire. That's the only thing I know about it. That, and I know the salute. I'm doing the salute for those.
Yeah.
It's on.
Do you do the whistle too?
I didn't know there was a whistle.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Big thing. Big thing.
Big thing. All right. Got to know the whistle.
But yeah, she's kind of the main character, and then Peeta is kind of like the side character. They were the ones that were selected from their district for the 74th Hunger Games.
And they are District 12 as well? Is that why Haymitch is their coach? Or is it just because he picked them?
No, he is the winner from District 12. So typically, and it kind of started, I guess, I don't know when it started, but winners from previous districts from previous years end up being kind of like coaches and mentors to the current people that are going into the Hunger Games. So District 12 is one of the poorer districts. So he is the only winner that is alive, and there's only been technically 3, but from what people knew of, 2 winners to ever win from District 12.
Okay, interesting. So he is to coach everybody, and they lose almost every time.
Yeah.
That's a tough run as a coach.
Yeah, very tough run. And that's kind of like when you watch the movies and you read the original series, his whole personality is he's kind of standoffish. He's kind of distant. He's like a drunk. He doesn't carry himself very well because from what you learn in the later books is he just like struggles with it a ton. Like the government is obviously super oppressive, and you learn about it, I guess, in this book. The way he won was kind of like a slap in the face to the government and the Capitol and everything like that. So they didn't like that very much. And when they got back, the Capitol killed everybody that he loves. They killed his mom, his brother, his girlfriend, and stuff like that because they're like, you showed us up, and we're setting an example out of you for future winners and past winners. Like we run stuff.
Oh my God! What did he do? This is a spoiler-heavy episode, so if you came here for a spoiler-free review of it, you're in the wrong place. I'm going to be asking every question.
If you don't know Haymitch's backstory, stop listening. Count to like 100, and then you should be good.
Just mute your headphones and count to 100, though. We need the listens.
We need the listens. But essentially, what he did is he found out that when you go to the edge of the arena, there's like a force field essentially, and he found out that like if things go past that arena, they kind of bounce back at you. So he got in a fight with the last girl. It was kind of like mano a mano, and they were both kind of dying. They both kind of got their heavy blows in, and her last effort to try and kill him, because he was kind of staying on the outskirts of things to kind of like, so nobody's watching his back. He's always got his front. And she threw an axe at him, and the axe kind of ricocheted and bounced back and killed her.
She killed herself.
So the Capitol saw that as him using kind of like their thing as a weapon, and it wasn't intended to be that way. Kind of like he didn't just fight her, he kind of like used them to do this.
Unfair. I mean, typical tyrannical government getting mad about the thing they set up being used for unintended purpose. So it makes sense. It stinks because it sounds like he just played it well.
Yeah, he just used it in a way like, it's just like anything. It's a TV show for ratings, and when you see like there's glitches in the system and that like you can get one past the government, they're gonna come at you and get you.
Always, every book.
And so they killed everybody, and he was only 16 when he fought in the Hunger Games. So I think we kind of skipped over this. We're going to bounce around a lot,
Yeah.
but the way you get selected essentially is it's a random drawing. So from the ages of 12 to 18, you are eligible to go in the Hunger Games. And when you're 12, you have one entry. When you're 13, you have two entries in there all the way up until 18. But then you can do things like in District 12, it's super popular because they're so poor. You can buy like food and stuff like that if you're poor and you need food. Like you can buy it with like submissions. You can be like, I'm going to put my name in there 10 more times if you give me like a turkey.
Oh man.
You know.
So the
So he
poorest
was.
of the poor are basically going every time.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how he got selected. He was 16. It didn't really go into like if he was, buying extra stuff or doing anything, but it wouldn't surprise me kind of being like a provider for his family because his dad had died, I think.
Man, that's crazy.
And then, but you can also volunteer. So like that's a big thing that Hamish is helping Katniss and them out with is since they're the poorer district, they have what they call the career districts, which are districts 1 and 2, which are kind of the rich ones. And what they do is they kind of train people from the time they can walk. Essentially, they go into academies where they train and they become killers. And then when they turn 18, the winner of their academy, I guess, volunteers. Like it's a big privilege to go and volunteer and go and win.
Of
The Hunger
course,
Games, essentially.
of course, the like richer districts have an upper hand. It's the least shocking part so far.
Mm-hmm. So like they, and they win, they get the money because when you win, the idea is you come back and you like are just, you're basically part of the capital living in the district. You get paid a bunch of money, they build you a mansion, you go on all these tours and stuff like that. Like you're set for life essentially if you win.
Must be nice. Unless you're Haymitch, then they kill your whole family because they're mad at you. So, did he get anything good out of it?
Well, he got all of that. Like he's rich as can be, and like he has a mansion and stuff like that. But and you come to learn in like the last ones of the original trilogy that basically all of the winners have some sort of thing going on like that. Like they're either like not cool with the Capitol, and they're like, well, you better act like you're cool. And like you even see that with Katniss and Peeta afterwards when they win because they kind of defy the Capitol too, where they kind of go against the whole thing. Like obviously they're starting an uprising to take down the thing. Like the whole deal. Like when they come back and they win, the president makes a visit to Katniss and he's like, "You're gonna play by my rules, or else I'll kill your whole family, just like I did Haymitch's."
My God, man.
And then for their thing, because they're the 74th and 75th, so the second movie was about the third quarter quell or that third kind of like crazy thing. What he chose to be, or what was randomly selected as like the twist for that year, was that they were picking all stars essentially, where the only people that were up to be picked were previous winners.
That was going to be my question because I was like, if you get in there, if you win it at like 15, and you're rich and all this stuff, but you got to go back. That's less than ideal. So typically they wouldn't pick someone who has won before, but this time the president was like, we got to get rid of her.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be random, but like clearly not random. He was like, "We're doing it this way." So Katniss and Peeta go back in, and the whole thing was they kind of staged a coup. At this point, was Haymitch played a really big role in that, is working with previous victors that he had kind of built a relationship over the years with, and other people that were in the Capitol that kind of were about it, and they staged a coup to kind of start the rebellion officially in that movie.
Sweet. That's the second movie. After the 75th or during the 75th one.
It's like the very end of it, and then the third and fourth movies are about like the rebellion and how they kind of take everything out.
There's 4 movies in the original series. I thought it was a trilogy. Or Mockingjay has 2.
Yeah,
I know Mockingjay is the third book and movie because it was so hyped when it came out.
Yeah, they did a part 1 and part 2, which I'm glad they did it that way because you do it in one movie, you're bound to miss something or hurry something up, where you can drag that on, and they did a good job with it.
Tell the whole story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 5 hours of a movie I like than, pack everything into 2 and make me hate it kind of thing. So, yeah, I like that a lot. Now, one of the few things I remember is that Katniss, her sister, is the one that gets picked, right? And then she volunteers to take her spot, and that's how she ends up in this pickle.
Yeah, because Katniss's sister, Prim, She was 12 years old, so she had one ticket in that jar. One ticket. She was 12 years old, and she got selected, and then Katniss volunteered, obviously, to take her sister's place.
You do anything to win a lottery with one draw like that, but not this. This is the bad lottery.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's how she got selected, and then Peeta was just like a random guy that got selected.
Okay, that's interesting. Peeta, the baker, who's named after the bread, because I called him Peter earlier, and you corrected me.
Yeah, Peeta like the bread, the baker.
Okay, so as far as that series goes, the original series, they start the revolution. So what happens in the third one? Because I feel like I know one of the spoilers at the end of Mockingjay, maybe, but I don't know how we get there. And the spoiler I think I know is, doesn't Prim die?
Yeah, she does.
That's the big thing, right? Like that's the whole series is. So how do we get there? What happens between the revolution, and how does Prim even get involved?
I'm a little bit fuzzy on like how exactly she got involved or how she was there essentially, but like I know the general direction. So essentially at the end of the second movie, inside of the arena, they find a way to kind of blow up the arena and then evacuate a couple of the people that were playing a big part of the coup, essentially. And they kept Katniss out of the loop of everything, so she had no idea any of this was going on because she's a hothead. And she does not take orders very well, and she will just act. So they were kind of just keeping her out of it. That way, when it happened, she couldn't try and find a way, because it's, anytime you're doing something like that, you got to make hard decisions. And she would get in the way of those hard decisions,
Gotcha.
So essentially, they kind of blow up the arena mid-game, so there is no winner of the 75th. They come in and they evac a handful of people. They can't get Peeta because Peeta got lost in translation, so he is kind of stuck there. And at this point, like they're being sold, Katniss and Peeta, as like in love, like their boyfriend, girlfriend, going to get married, what have you, or whatever. And
is that just for the cameras?
It's one of those like, it is for the cameras, but it's not for the cameras, but it is for the cameras, but it's not for the like she denies it and plays hard to get, and rightfully so. She's like, I got a lot on my plate right now.
Yeah.
And Peeta's for real about it. Peeta's like, I love you.
It makes way more sense to be like, yeah, we don't love each other, because it's the thing every superhero does. Why they wear a mask, because they're like, then you just use the people I love against me. So I see where Katniss is coming from with it. I tend to agree with the superhero side of things.
And Katniss has a boy best friend back home that is like, they're best friends. They would never, but he also loves Katniss.
Of course.
And Katniss is like, no, we're best friends, but you're also like super jacked and you take care of my sister and my mom. So like,
Yeah, that's a toss up. And for her.
So she's definitely battling that, where she's like, I think I love this guy, but also it's kind of hard to go into these life or death situations and like not start having feelings for this guy. But anyway,
you survive 2 Hunger Games. Well, I guess 1 and maybe a half if they blew up the 75th. But yeah, that's I mean, that's pretty nuts. What's the other guy's name? Do you know the jacked
like
guy?
her Gale is his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So they kind of stage that thing. They leave a couple people behind, and Peeta obviously gets taken by the Capitol, and they're kind of using him as a weapon to get back at Katniss.
Shocker. The guy sounds useless.
He's the typical, like, they made such a good pairing in the original books because she's like the hothead, like really good at like the physical attributes of things. Like she's the killer, the athlete or whatever, and he's kind of the brains of the operation. He's the one that makes them likable, essentially, because it works the same way as Dungeon Crawler Carl works.
He's Donut.
Where they made, he's Donut, where like he's the one going in these interviews. He's the one like making the moves, like the personality that makes people be like, they're a pretty cool team. And then she's the one that's like shooting people in the eyes with arrows, and people are like, whoa.
Sick. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. He's not completely useless then, but it sounds like the nitty-gritty Hunger Game part of it, he's probably not the best.
Yeah, I can't remember if he really even like killed anybody, but he is like you were saying pre-show, like he was the one that was like a tree that one time.
Yeah,
Like he
I've
was
seen
good
the
at
meme.
he was good at camouflage because he was a baker, so he would have to like build cakes, and he would have crushed it on Is It Cake, the
Oh,
Netflix show.
okay. Yeah.
So like in the first Hunger Games, that's like she finds him, he's like severely wounded, I guess, because they weren't like just teamed up the whole time. They were kind of separated, and he was severely wounded, and he like camouflaged himself, and she like steps on him. And he's like, "Ow!"
Oh, that's really funny. Okay, so Master of Disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they escalate. They escape. Katniss throws a fit because she's like, "You guys kept me out. We need to get Peeta." And Haymitch is kind of like the one talking to her, and she doesn't know a lot of his background too. They like later in this book, he kind of tells her everything that the President Snow did to them by killing everybody, and she kind of, is like, "I didn't know that. I wouldn't have been so mean if you told me that."
Yeah, it's like, well, everyone's going through something. Maybe give the guy a break.
Yeah.
He's not an alcoholic because he likes the taste. He's sad.
He's numbing himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they essentially go to District 13. So there's a 13th district, secret district, that, the government is like, they don't exist. And I don't know if they know they exist or if they don't. I don't think they do. But they essentially live underground. They're like a ground colony. And they're like,
weirdos?
Yeah, because like their whole thing was like nuked, like their district was nuked essentially, I think, or something like that. So they kind of live underground, but they go there because that's like kind of the hub for the uprising and stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder who nuked District 13. It seems like the government's in a lot of power here. So it would make sense to go to the guys who are most mad at the government to start the uprising.
And like people don't know they exist, so it was definitely like a word of a friend. Like, are you trying to start a rebellion? Because we know the guys.
Oh, okay. So they
don't.
Do they know about the Hunger Games going on or anything like that? Like they have TV.
Yeah, like they're generally aware of what's going on there. So that's kind of their base of operations, and then they're just kind of like doing coup shit, where they're just kind of like, they're like, we're gonna take over the world, and this is how we're gonna do it. And then Katniss is like, we need to get Peeta back, and they're like, we agree, we kind of need to get Peeta back, because they're doing the thing where they like torture and brainwash him, and they're like putting him on the news and stuff, being like, Katniss, you need to stop this, like you're actually hurting the world. Because meanwhile, this is starting an uprising where now all the districts are like, we're taking out the government, like this is bad,
Of course.
So the government's like, nuke, mow you down, like armies being sent there, like shooting people up, like burning houses to the ground, like doing crazy stuff. Yeah.
Dang, I didn't know it got crazy. Like I didn't know the government just straight up started killing people like that. That's crazy.
It got crazy. And then Katniss is getting upset because they're like, you're the martyr. Like, you can't be on the front line. And she's like, I want to be on the front lines. And they're like, no, we just need you to go do a photo shoot at this war zone and then get back to base. Because if you get got, like,
it's over.
We're dead. We're dead. You're like, and then essentially they start doing the takeover. I forget what it is, but then they start like storming the Capitol. Like, they kind of get to their point where they're set up. They're storming the Capitol. They're kind of going in there. They're taking it over. And it was something like they basically like bombed everybody. And I think they disguised it as something like they thought it was like medicine dropping. Like they were dropping medicine down to like save people. Because they do that like with drones and stuff. Like, this is still in the future. And it was actually bombs. And that's what killed Prim. Like she got killed by one of those things. And it was like the government's like last act. Like they were infiltrating the Panem like base, like the White House, I guess.
Yeah.
Their version of the White House, and they were just like boom. Like try and kill a bunch of people, as many people as possible to get them off the doors. But they capture the president, and
So
my
two questions are: how does Katniss find out about Prim? Because she wasn't there, I imagine, when Prim opened the bomb, or she'd be bombed as well. And then my other question is, do they kill the president?
I don't remember where Katniss was. I want to say she was in like the version of the White House. Like I think she was on the front lines of things, or she was they may have been doing that at the same time as like trying to get PETA the second time.
Okay.
Like I don't necessarily remember. It's been a while since I read the book, and the movie kind of like jumps around a little bit
It's fair.
in that. But it's like somewhere. I don't think she's there. I think she's in the White House version
Okay.
of the Capitol. And then yeah, they end up killing the president. But the way they kill the president is sick. Um,
I love hearing
and
about
I guess
tyrants get toppled.
I guess they don't end up killing him, but the idea is they kind of take over and it's like this new era, right? And then they're kind of sitting there at the council, which was like the council of people that did the uprising. So it's like, hey, Mitch, it's Katniss, it's the president of District 13, and it's a couple of their other like core decision makers, essentially. And they're sitting there and they're kind of electing the president of District 13 to kind of be the new interim president until future notice type
Gotcha.
deal.
Okay.
And she's a little bit crazy. She's one of those people that is like kind of out for revenge against the Capitol rather than like she's stooping down to their level type deal. Because she proposes that they do a I forget the word, but it's like a signifying version of the Hunger Games with just kids from the Capitol.
Oh
so
my
she wants
God.
And it goes to a vote, and Katniss and Haymitch vote yes because Katniss had the idea because Haymitch was like talking to her beforehand, being like, "Yo, this is going to be proposed. Like, just so you know, like we can vote no and stuff like this." And Katniss comes up with this big plan. She's like, "No, just vote yes. Like, tell her what she wants to hear. Like, vote yes.
Okay.
But we're going to vote for a public execution of the president, essentially, like President Snow,
Okay.
like the antagonist, because they have him in holding." So it was a big curveball because you're just like, dude, we were just going right back into what we're doing, but they kind of see the writing on the wall where I think her name was Coin. President Coin was her name. They were like, she's going to be just as bad. Like, we're going to fall back into place. We need to break the cycle. So Katniss has her bow and arrow, and it's President Snow, like kind of hands tied behind his back, like just in the middle of the quad or whatever. And then President Coin's like up on her balcony type deal, like behind him. And Katniss is going to shoot President Snow with an arrow, and then just aims upwards and shoots President Coin and kills her.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Epic.
Yeah.
So she obviously gets arrested. They kind of just put President Snow back into like confinement type deal.
Okay.
And then Haymitch lobbies to get Katniss like not arrested, just being like, yeah, she's just had it. She has PTSD like severely, you know, like she just kind of acted on a whim. Like, he was like, what if we just put her on like house arrest and she's not allowed in crowds? And everybody's like, I guess, you know. So then I forget who becomes president. It was like somebody from a different district. I think it was like a District 8 lady that was also on their council and part of the uprising, but it's assumed that they live happily ever after that. But you get the end scene where Katniss goes to visit President Snow, and he's just like, his big thing is he liked roses because like his big thing was like a symbolic rose. Okay. So like when he would come and visit you and stuff, like he would bring you a rose type deal. And like, you know, you're just like, this sucks. But he used roses for a couple of reasons. You learned it in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes that like his mom's thing was like her perfume or like her makeup or whatever smelled like roses. So like that was like one of his things. And then his way of killing people for the most part was poison. Like he liked to poison people. That was his thing. So the smell of roses would kind of usually cover up the aroma of the poison.
Gotcha. That's a weak way to kill people. As a president, I get it. Plausible deniability if you're getting your hands dirty, I suppose.
He has people to do the dirty work for him. Like when he's doing it, he's poisoning you.
Yeah, that's just getting your hands dirty at all as the president. Killing someone is a very interesting way to handle it.
Yeah, and I guess like it was said something like he ended up choking to death on his own laughter because he was like coughing up blood, because it was said like, you know, there was times where like he couldn't be certain or whatever, so he would have a little bit of poison in himself and then he would take an antidote and it like developed a cough type deal. So he like choked on his own blood in a rose garden is how he died.
Poetic justice for that man. Wow. Okay, that's a pretty crazy ending.
Yeah. So Haymitch is just like, it's super cool to be getting Haymitch's background because he was kind of like the father figure of Katniss and PETA, and he has like this crazy backstory, and he won the last quarter quell or whatever, like the 50th. So he's like kind of a big deal in that whole thing. So it's cool to, and his story is just so crazy and you hear about it so much that it's nice to kind of get like his backstory.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, he's like the old war vet that's coaching the he's training them.
And
He's Denzel in Training Day, but not a bad guy.
And he becomes
Spoilers
kind
for
of like
Training Day in this episode too.
He becomes Katniss's kind of like father figure over the time because like her dad's dead, and like he's kind of the one that's like guiding her and doing all this stuff too.
Wow. All right. Well, that's exciting that we get more of his background. So, okay, so we've got the original series, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That's the 25th.
10th.
That's the 10th Hunger Games. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, is Haymitch not even alive for that, or?
Let's see. No, because he would have been the 50th Hunger Games, and he was 16. So no.
Yeah. Okay. So that one. What's that one? Like, what goes on in that one? I don't know if you said that or not already, but.
So that's President Snow's background.
Oh, that's
and kind
right.
of like his upbringing. So he is at the time 16 or 17, I think. Okay. I want to say. So he's a young kid, and it's like pretty still soon after the war. So the capital's still pretty broken up. Both of his parents died in the war. So it's just him, his sister, and then his grandma or whatever.
Man. Okay.
And the Hunger Games is still new. It's not very popular yet because people just like aren't really bought in. And his whole thing, and like his family is like supposed to be one of like the wealthy capital families or whatever. And they're like broke now. So he's like putting on the facade that like I still got it, like keeping up with the Joneses type deal. And he wants to kind of get a job in government and kind of scale that way. But the only way to do it is if he goes to college, right? But he can't afford college. So he's like trying to get a scholarship and trying to finagle his way into doing that. Their idea for this Hunger Games was that they were going to pick some students at the school to be the coaches because they hadn't implemented the mentor program of previous winners yet, which also makes sense because it's only the 10th Hunger Games.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's coaching the girl from District 12, which is a whole lot of, there's so much symbolism in this one, like clearly, especially since it was written beforehand, but like he coaches the girl from District 12 in that Hunger Games, which shows like his extra disdain for Katniss throughout the whole original series.
That makes a lot of sense. How does the girl from District 12 do? How does Coach Snow's team do?
So she wins. That Hunger Games. And I mean, it was a little bit different and stuff because like a whole lot of the thing is like, how would you like part of that class and part of the coaching system that they were implementing, and the winner of like it was like whoever performed the best would end up getting a scholarship to go to the university. So he really wanted to win. And it was kind of the same story. Like she's from District 12, a poor district, and she's like a petite girl that's like really charismatic and stuff like that. Like she builds on the audience. So he does a lot of that for her. He like has her show that. But his idea for at school to kind of get people more engaged is the idea of being able to bet on it and to be able to like send gifts while they're in the arena, because that wasn't a thing yet. So he's like, you get people more engaged by doing this.
That makes a lot of sense.
So he uses that to kind of get her a lot of popularity, kind of get her into safety. And then he also cheats, obviously. He finds ways to cheat to kind of like help her to win.
Shocker.
And then they fall in love and stuff like that. But, you know, that book covered a lot, which was okay. Like the whole Hunger Games part of it was maybe the first 150 pages. Like she won the Hunger Games like 150 pages in, and then you had like 200 pages of like the second half of the story.
Oh wow. Okay.
So she gets to go home, and she's like, at this point, she's not like rich or anything. They hadn't gotten to that point. They were just like, congrats, like you made it. Type
survived. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get to go back to District 12.
Mm-hmm. But he gets caught having cheated. On the Hunger Games. Like they found out that he had done some stuff that helped her survive. That was like kind of against the rules. So what they do is they're like, we could send you to jail, we could do all of this, but what we're going to do is we're going to send you to kind of a peacekeeper camp. And peacekeeper is kind of like their police military unit. So they're basically like, we're going to send you to boot camp. And he was like, okay, but can I pick District 12? Because he had like kind of fallen in love with this girl, but you learn that he's just kind of like a crazy person. You know, like this is where you kind of see like his crazy person, where he's just like he doesn't really love her as much as he likes owning her, you know, and
gotcha.
like what she did for him and like kind of what he's produced and kind of what he's done. But he also kind of likes her, but he gets jealous because a lot of people like her because she's like charismatic.
And she won, so people love her. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
his cash cow basically, where he's like, I love her for what she provides to me, basically.
pretty much. And then he
Mm.
kind of starts getting in his head and he starts like kind of turning on himself. And then his whole thing is like, and she almost does it. She almost convinces him to like run away with her, being like, let's just like get out of here. Like, let's just go like live off the land and like be in love and stuff. And he's like almost about it. But then he's just like, no, like I'm a Snow. Like I'm from the capital. Like I'm this, that, and the other thing. Like try to scale up in the world.
She almost saved a
So,
lot of people a lot of trouble.
yeah, because they started, because I mean, it's a whole lot of things. Like he ends up killing like a couple of people. Like he killed one person like during the Hunger Games. Like he killed somebody kind of in like self defense, but he got the taste for blood out of self defense. And then like
So many of them do.
him and like the people that were planning on like running away, they get like run in on by like the mayor's daughter or whatever, and he like shoots her because he's like no loose ends, right?
No
And
face,
people are
no
like,
case. Yeah.
yeah, and people are like, I guess, but like,
Yeah, it's a little out of pocket, man.
like you just killed like the mayor's daughter. Like we're gonna get caught. You didn't just
Yeah.
kill like a stray.
People are gonna be like, "Where's the mayor's daughter?" And there needs to be an answer for that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then one of his buddies also went to peacekeeper camp with him essentially because he went to the school, but his whole thing was he was actually from a district, but his dad was super rich, so he kind of like bought his way into the capital. But the kid kind of grew up in the district, so like he was not acclimating well. He was like, he was kind of like super rebellious and like doing a lot of things. So his dad was basically like, I'm sending you to military school because you're a bad look for me.
Makes sense.
And that kid was like one of the main persons like running point on like we got to get out of here, like let's go live off the land and stuff like that. Um, and then President Snow at that time ended up like killing him too. Like he basically like they call them the Mockingjays. Like they had a couple of different names, but like one of their names was like the Mockingjay, and essentially it was like a genetically enhanced like mockingbird.
Okay.
Essentially, and they used it during the war to like pick up on people's voices, like pick up on conversations, and then they would like fly back to the capital, so they were like hearing stuff.
Wow.
So like he used one of those to like record his voice and then send it to the capital, and then they ended up hanging his friend. And he was like, yeah, he was like he was like he's not for the capital. So like if he's not for the capital, like he's just a bad egg. Like he can't be a part of this kind of stuff. I can't trust him.
Yeah.
And like he knows too much now. I can't trust him. I got to kill him, essentially. And then
super villain from the jump. Oh my god.
Super villain from the jump. And this is where like Lucy, his like girlfriend or whatever, the girl who won District 12 at that time, was like we really need to get out of here. Like things are just escalating. Like there's too much dirt. Like eventually we'll get caught for killing the mayor's daughter. Like eventually like something will come out. They'll find the weapon and stuff like that. Like something will happen. Like we just got to get out of here right now. And you get like the brief glimpse where he's like, I'll do anything as long as it's with you type deal.
Okay.
And then they run away in the middle of the night and stuff like that. And as they're running away, she makes the comment. She's like, I'm so happy to be doing this. Like, I hope I never have to kill again. And he goes, yeah, killing 3 people is enough for me for this lifetime.
Oh.
But she had only known about the 2. She didn't know he betrayed his friend that she was also starting to get close with because he was like a part of everything. And she was like, what do you mean 3?
And he just tells her. Certainly.
No, he was like, it just, don't worry about that.
yeah. Oh, I say wrong numbers all the time.
Yeah, and then like
I meant
they take
4.
a stop.
Bang.
yeah, pretty much. Because like they go to like this safe house in the water, and he's like the guns that he like part of the guns that were there when he shot the mayor's daughter were there, and he's like, oh, the guns, they're here. Like, and she's like, yeah, we like got them here, we found them, we hid them here. And she's like, I'm gonna go outside and get some water real quick if that's cool, because she like pieced it together like he killed him because he thought he was a loose end. He found the guns. I'm the loose end now.
Ooh, yeah.
So she like kind of pieced out, and then in his like he snapped in his head, and he was kind of like going back and forth in his head. He was like, do I kill her? Do I run away? Do I kill her? Do I run away? And then he like ran outside, and he had like the gun in his hand, and he's like, Lucy, where are you? And
Oh
she's
my
just
God.
and he's
The
like, I'm not
Shining.
gonna. Yeah, she's like, I'm not gonna kill you. And then it ends, and you don't know what happened to her. Like it says, like he shot at her, and like he couldn't find the body and stuff. But it was also saying like her whole thing was like she won basically with snakes. It was like it was weird, and I don't know if it's important necessarily bring up. But he got bit by a snake, and he thought he was like freaking out and like having like a venomous attack. So he was like, I shot at her. I saw her coming by. I can't find the body, but like I need to go back because I'm gonna like die out here from the venom and stuff like that. It's over now. I discarded of the gun. Like the only loose end would be her, and she's District 12 trash if she comes back. Like we'll deal with that if it happens, type deal, you know?
Dang.
And he gets back and he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, you got bit by like a non-venomous snake, dude. You're good. You're just having a panic attack. So like just shows like how like in his head he was and
Yeah.
stuff. So like you never know where she is, but that's why he gets that's why like during the movies he gets like super mad at like her being represented as a Mockingjay, because the whole idea with the Mockingjays is they're like super resilient too. Like they're really hard to die. Like they're one of the few things that have like been left over from the war that they don't really want around, but they're around because they're like hard to catch and kill
Gotcha.
type deal. So like that's why she's the Mockingjay.
I
He
like
has that
that.
extra disdain for District 12. Um, you
Wow.
know, and
Yeah, it all kind of. District 12 is a thorn in his side.
mhm. And like when he became president, because obviously he comes back to the thing, and like the person who sent him to the peacekeeper camp was really just sending him there like as part of like a test type deal. She was like, I know you're like my prize pupil, like I'm investing all this time into you, like you were never going to be a peacekeeper. I was just sending you there to like get you some experience like in the field kind of deal.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
um his friend that he ended up killing, his parents adopt him and like fund his family's like wealth and stuff like that so they don't go bankrupt,
Oh my God.
because they don't know
Yeah,
that
they're
he
like, oh,
killed his
our son's
kid.
best friend died. Let's help the family out.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
And they're like, we're gonna adopt him, and we're gonna, and you know, the dad's like, I need an heir type deal. Like I need like my boy to be like doing this thing. Like he didn't have any other sons, so he was just like, I'm gonna adopt you, raise you as my son. Now you'll be kind of like my my person. He goes to the university and stuff like that, and ends up becoming president. And dude, when he becomes president, he wipes that Hunger Games from the face of the earth. Like there's no footage, there's no nothing, because he doesn't want anybody. He doesn't want to be tied back to that, like for bad memories, for anything like that, like nothing. And he doesn't want to be known as like somebody that like helped conspire against kind of like the government. You know, like he helped her kind of like throw one at the government
yeah.
type deal. Like, he
So
kind of helped her stage an uprising, a mini uprising type
and
deal.
he's got it now. He is big government, so he's gonna hide that.
So like earlier when
Wow.
I was saying like, hey Mitch, there was only one other winner. There was two, but like you didn't know about this Lucy girl that won because she was kind of like wiped from the books
Wow. And I
because of
mean,
Snow.
that's the start of all of it. She's kind of the
Hmm.
catalyst for a lot of this stuff, it seems like, just with her involvement with Snow.
Yeah, and like the little cookie, I guess, is like this was kind of where he helped Lucy win by helping her poison some people. Like he snuck her some rat poison that she used to kill people. And then he ends up killing like the dean of his school after like in like the epilogue or whatever. Like he goes to visit because the guy was like his dad's best friend
Oh
type
my
deal growing
God.
up.
This kid's
So
just terrible.
terrible. So like he had talked with him a couple of times about his dad, but then he went to talk to him, and the guy, uh, he was like also a drunk, or he was also taking like he was taking something that was kind of like a drug, I guess, to kind of like help him out, because, and you learn why in this, because him and his dad, President Snow's dad, were at like a bar, and drunkenly at the bar, the dean was like, he came up with the idea for the Hunger Games. Essentially, he was like, we should do something like this, and then President Snow's dad was the one that implemented it.
Oh my
Was just like,
God.
we're doing the Hunger Games. So this guy's like holding on to a ton of guilt because like this Hunger Games and all these people dying and like what's going on is like his
Was
fault
his
essentially.
idea? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's crazy. Also,
And
of
then
course, it got come up with like in a bar. couple buddies having
Yeah.
drinks. It's like a
And of
something dumb he said out loud that ended up changing the course of history for the worse.
hmm So he killed him with poison. He put poison in his drugs or whatever, and like he died right there. Like he died at the end of that book. So like you start seeing where he's just kind of like cutthroat and ruthless, and like his preferred method where he's just like, yeah, man, he overdosed. Like, sorry.
Wow, that's cold.
And then they give you
Like
more
snow.
insights into the like how the districts don't really watch the Hunger Games. It's just for the Capitol because they paint it as like the districts love this too. Like they love the exposure. They're rooting for their guys in there to like bring back the trophy and stuff like that. And Snow noticed that when he was in 12, like they don't even have TVs, so like they weren't
They
watching.
don't watch it at all. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
the government basically kidnaps two of their kids like once a
Mhm.
semester or once a year, and they're like, ugh.
Yeah. So he basically it kind of just shows how like the Hunger Games evolved because of him and how he made it like the business, for lack of a better word, that it is.
Wow, that's intense. I was
Yeah.
expecting some twists and turns. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's super crazy. It was like a really fun book to read because it was like like you knew this guy like you're reading the backstory of like all of your villains, like the Voldemorts, Darth Vaders, like you're reading the backstory and how they got to them. Like you're gonna love it.
Yeah,
And it was just like 10x what you could even think about. And then they did a good job with all the symbolism. Like obviously he's going to coach the girl from District 12 and she's going to win and you're never going to have heard of her and all of that stuff.
yeah, I love that, and I like that they didn't try to fit it in like they gave Katniss her own story, and they didn't try so many
Mm-hmm.
books and shows and stuff. Like, and it's a big anime thing, but like when you finally face the villain or whatever, before the fight, you get a couple episodes long backstory about the villain. And I mean, if they did
Mm-hmm.
3 books, then it's better they just did this separately. So that's
And they
exciting.
did it such a long time afterwards that it's like settled.
Yeah.
Like it's not like what they're doing with Marvel where they're just like pumping out like prequel, backstory, side story of everything that's going on. Like it's been a while since the original Hunger Games. You've had time to digest it, and where it's like it just relates to something that you already know, but it's still new.
That's awesome. And it's not an oversaturation, like you said, with a lot of the Marvel stuff. You're not getting like everybody's backstory. You're getting the main villains and Haymitch's, who's well, we're gonna
Hmm.
get Haymitch's, which is gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
sick.
yeah.
So,
So
do you think Lucy survived? Could we expect to see her in Sunrise on the Reaping at in some capacity, or do you think she's dead?
I I don't think she's dead because like her whole thing was like she would always describe herself. She's like, I'm not actually from District 12. It was just like it's called a covey, I guess, where
Okay.
they're just like a traveling band essentially, because that was her thing. She was like, I can sing
She's a
like
gypsy.
nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially a gypsy.
Okay.
So she was just like, I was just in District 12 when they did like the reaping or whatever when they picked the people. Like
Oh.
I was there.
Yeah. Wrong place, wrong time.
So I think she escaped and she's just kind of like being a gypsy. Like she's just like bouncing around, probably like cut her hair and changed her name.
So if Haymitch survived, or not Haymitch, Snow survived, there's no chance she's President Coin that gets shot by. How old is
That
Coin?
was,
Is that possible?
I think the age range matches up. I don't think it ever like talked about it, but like, he looked, President Snow looked like your grandpa, and then like Coin looked like your mom type
Oh,
deal. So like
okay, gotcha.
it could happen because
She
she
could
was
be
what,
like,
five
my
or six
mom's
years
name
old.
was Lucy. At
Yeah,
some
type
point.
deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Like there was a bunch of theories after it came out, like is she Lucy now or is she Lucy's daughter by chance or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
she's a part of this crazy secret district that nobody knew of. Like, and they kind of got like they tried to get wiped off the face of the earth. Is it because Snow knew that that's kind of where she was at some point? Like, did he have an informant be like Lucy's actually here, and then try to wipe him
Gotcha.
out? But nothing's ever confirmed. But
Who
I would
knows? Might get
something
some in
like that
this
would
new
be
book.
cool, but it's one of those things like they have to do it right. Like if they're
Yeah.
just kind of like if they're just like, by the way, Coin is Lucy's mom or whatever like that, you'd be like, all right, dude, or daughter, you'd be like, all right, are you fishing right now? Or are you going to actually tie this in correctly?
And it's going to be tough to tie it in if District 13. I do you know when they got nuked? Like, did District 13 participate in the Hunger Games that Snow coached?
No. So I think it
Then
was like
yeah.
right after. I think it was like during the war. Like it was like one of the first things they did after the
Oh,
war.
that
Because
makes sense.
It's not talked about at all. Like it
Gotcha.
wasn't talked about in the Songbird of Ballad or Songbird of Snakes or whatever, and it wasn't talked about at all until like after the rebellion had started.
Okay.
Like it was a big surprise.
Yeah, so it would be surprise. Yeah, they would really have to be pretty delicate about how they would connect those Lucy and President Coin if they were going to do that. But I see, obviously, I jumped right to it. I can see how other people would immediately be like, that makes sense, or it could like there could
Hmm.
be a theory there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely think she's alive, just because like one, you never found the body, and that's like movie, TV show, book 101. Like unless I see the body,
and
you're
even
alive
then,
somewhere.
half the time it's like they died, they might come back. It's like
Hmm.
possible.
Yeah, and he was just having like uber panic attacks, so it wouldn't be crazy to think that he never even saw her in the first place. It was just like figment of his imagination, and she was so far gone anyways by that
Yeah,
time. Like they did a good job of kind of leaving it open ended to ask a bunch of questions, because I think that's like a good thing to do. Leave it very open ended so uh, fan theories circle around, because it just keeps you in circulation.
of course. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some mention of her in this next book then, because she could definitely be alive like 40 years after she participated in the Hunger Games. She'd be like 50 something. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was something about her in this next one, but, I also wouldn't be shocked if there was nothing.
Yeah, I mean, going into this book, I'm not even. It wasn't even something on my radar. Like, I wonder if she is. I wonder if she's not. I'm kind of okay with her story kind of being over and kind
Yeah.
of living in infamy. I want to get a ton about Haymitch. I want to get a ton about his Hunger Games and stuff like that, because you know about like the one girl from 12 that he teamed up with for a little bit there, but you don't know really a whole lot about the other two people from 12
Oh yeah,
that were
because it
there.
was a double
Hmm.
games. The Hungrier games.
The Hungrier games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Hungrier games.
So I definitely want to see that, and I want to get a little bit more about like Snow and a lot of things. And Haymitch was a very charismatic person too. Um, so I think that was like part of it too. Like, yeah, he used the force field to kill the girl, but I think it was one of those things too. Like during the pre-show interviews and stuff like that, he was kind of condescending and poking fun at the government and stuff like that, where he was already on their radar, and then it was just like, all right, now he's the winner and he did this. Like, we got to put him down a peg.
That makes a lot of sense. And Snow's not happy about it, obviously, with him being from
Mm-hmm.
District 12. He probably wasn't happy with him ever. So if he gets a little
Yeah, that
involved or
too.
some sus things happen to Haymitch during this Hunger Games that we're going to read about, I would
Hmm.
not be surprised at all. So I'm sure
Yeah,
there'd be a lot of Snow and Haymitch because they seem to be, they're popular characters in the original series. So yeah, that's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So we'll definitely see on that. And it'll be fun to think, just like we're saying, with him being charismatic and stuff, because he did such a good job of that with Katniss and Peeta. Like he really helped them out a ton, where he was like wheeling and dealing with the other coaches and stuff like that to be like, hey, like let's like try and point your people in this direction. He was working with they call him the game maker, the person that's in charge of like the arena and like the different attacks that they're gonna do and stuff like that, like what's going on in the arena. Because that's the thing too, like the arenas always have a theme.
Okay.
um so like in Haymitch's, I think it was described like everything looked super beautiful, so it like looked like a utopia, but everything was able to kill you essentially. So like the apple on the tree was poisonous, like
Ooh,
the innocent squirrel running around was like a cannibal type deal. Like
that's exciting.
that's the thing. Like the mountain was a volcano. Like you thought it was a mountain, like a pretty glacierous mountain, and then it's a volcano that burns half the thing away. So like
Oh, this is
hearing
gonna be
about
lit.
so hearing about that and like how they try and do things, because like they're trying to control it a little bit too, like to kind
Okay.
of push people in the right direction, kind of like in Fortnite, how it
Yeah.
like shrinks and stuff like that, and they try and get you there. They'll have little things go on like that to try and bring people closer together, build up the action.
Nice. Okay. So, uh, Katniss is the bow. That's like her thing, I feel like.
Hmm.
Did each participant get like a weapon like that, and then that's the only weapon they're like allowed to use, or you can use whatever, but Katniss just uses the bow. My Where I'm going with this is I want to know what Haymitch's weapon of choice is. Do you know
Haymitch
that already?
Yeah, his was knives.
Oh,
I think.
sick.
I think he like dual akimboed like knives. I think that's
Okay.
his thing.
That's one of
Um,
my favorite builds in every video game, so I'm excited for that.
yeah, because he's like pegged as the stealthy, quick,
Mm,
like
that's
kind of dude.
daggers.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but no, they don't get it off rip. So like usually when they bring the people up in into the like when you enter the arena, you kind of like are brought up on a platform and everybody's in a circle around the cornucopia in the middle, and that cornucopia has like all of the goods. So it has like the swords, the food, the tent, the fire making kit, like all of those types of things, and it's in the middle because they want everybody to like rush in there and it becomes a bloodbath, and then like you kind of wipe out 10 people off a rip. um, so like there's a bow there, but if you go in there, your chances of dying are super big.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
So she ends up getting the bow in the movie and in the book, but she doesn't get it from like right there. She waits until she's able to like pick it up essentially. Like
Gotcha.
somebody, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So my only other question, I guess, is so Snow and Haymitch are clearly like at odds. Um, does Haymitch? They'll probably introduce it in this book, so this might be. Does he have like an arch nemesis that we're like, or is it Snow? It's just he hates the government and it's Snow. I imagine that's
I
probably
think
what this book will be about, if there is somebody like that, though.
I don't think he has like one singular like arch nemesis other than like Snow and the government, because like the whole idea is that he's just like a defeated person. Like
Okay.
he went and did the thing where he like goes in there and he wins like in a way where he wasn't the killer. Like he kind of like waited a lot of people out, killed when he had to, but and then he gets back and like all he wanted to do was like be with his family and his like girlfriend that he was like super in love with. They were going to be wives, and they get taken from him, and then
Man.
like being the only person from 12 that has ever won, he's like trying to coach these kids, and he's like he describes it as like, dude, like it's so tough. Like year after year, you spend like a month or two trying to like train these people, give them the best keys to success, and then chances are they're dying. And
Yeah.
for all of these years, they're dying, and then you just kind of like give up because they're just dying, and like you're trying your best to try and get at the government, but also like you know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, naturally. And if it sounds like I imagine he doesn't really want to coach, or maybe he does to try to help these kids survive. But it's like after seeing them all get slaughtered for so long, yeah, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it sounds like he did for a while. Like originally, he was like, "I'm gonna try and get somebody else to win now," like type of deal. Like I did it, I'm gonna help you out. Like I got all this energy, and then it's just not working. And then that's when he kind of turns to like heavy drinking and stuff to
Makes
try and just
sense.
like get through it.
Yeah, dang, that's tough. I
Yeah.
am very excited to read this book though, because it sounds like all this other stuff is that has gone on is really great. I'm gonna have to catch myself up on the Hunger Games, although I'm caught up. I might just watch the movies now.
Yeah, I would definitely say like they do a really good job with the movies. Like obviously there's like little details that you miss on and they kind of like fast forward themselves through some stuff, but like the general gist is there
Okay, yeah.
on everything.
Well, I feel pretty caught up to read this book. I'm very excited for it now, and having a little base layer of knowledge is going to be very good for going into this. Now I feel like I can at least be as excited as you, and when Victor joins us, if he joins us for this book, then we'll be very excited about, or
Hmm.
the same things. I won't be like, I just don't know who that is kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be more questions that get popped up because it's impossible to cover 4 books in an hour.
Yeah.
But
But you did a damn
the
good
only
job, I'll tell you that much. I feel like
appreciate
I
it,
know
boss.
more about the Hunger Games certainly than I did before this, because I knew two things, and it was the biggest spoiler in the
Hmm.
original series.
Do you want to know how the Ultimate series like ends, or do you want
Yes.
to save that in case you watch the movies or books?
No, spoil it for me. Let's hear it.
Katniss and Peeta live happily ever after and have kids. They
No
move back to
way.
District. Yeah, they move back to District 12, and I'm pretty sure they're there alone, or maybe it's just them and Haymitch, because Katniss isn't allowed in like society because she will just start shooting people with arrows.
Oh my god. Not the ending I was expecting. I was expecting her. I mean, I guess with her being a hothead, she can't be really involved in the government. She's just gonna make everything worse still. But
and her mom moved to a different district, I guess, because her mom was like a nurse or something like that. But her mom was like, she dealt with like a bunch of like just mental problems because her husband died, and she was just like,
her
I live
daughter
in the
was just
slums.
murdering people on the TVs that they don't
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my other daughter died. She's like, I'm gonna go to the hospital and just work on saving people.
It's noble, but Jesus, yeah, that's a tough go as a mother. I gotta imagine.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Haymitch gets sober. I'm pretty sure like once he moves, because he moves back to District 12 too, and is kind of like grandpa to
Yeah,
them.
he's Unc.
I think
Yeah.
I think he feels kind of good. They offered him like a spot in the government, and he was like, "Nah, I think I'm good.
Sick.
I think I've done my part.
Yeah.
You guys just don't go screwing it up, and I'll stay out here."
I kind of like that Katniss and Peeta like did the revolution and then were like, all right, we're out of there. I kind of like
Yeah,
that ending for them. I mean, maybe Peeta could have gotten involved in like politics or something. He might have been pretty good at it. It sounds like, but
I think his mental integrity was kind of.
I wouldn't want to now deal with everyone else's problems after having done
Yeah,
that.
they just went through probably what you could probably assume to be like 3 years of being like a dog in a cage type deal.
Yeah.
And like you came out on top. You completely uprooted the system that was going on. Like, I'm okay, man. Just leave me alone for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's not the same, but it's kind of like Thanos in Marvel where he's like I did it, now it's time to relax. I get to go to my giant farm planet in the sky. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm fine with that for them.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to like reread like part of the last books or like watch the movies because I forget what happened with Gale too, but I remember it being like super funny. I think he went to like help with the revolution. He was like, "I'm gonna help fight" or something like that. While Pete is kidnapped, he's like making moves on Katniss. He's like, "I've always loved you," and she's like, "Dude, not now."
Right now at a time like this?
And he's like, "You love him, don't you?" And she's like, "The guy that saved my life and is currently being tortured by the government."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
even
I
if
want to help him.
even if I don't love him, I might as well. I gotta save him. Like, yeah. Oh
But
my
yeah,
God. Well,
just
good
remember
for
it being
them.
like super cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Her kids are gonna be psychotic too, though, right? If
yeah.
crazy
They're probably gonna
mom,
be like, "Where are my friends?" Yeah,
they're
crazy
gonna
mom.
be
Crazy.
able to make a hell of a cake and kill you
Yeah,
while you try to eat it.
yeah. Well, and hunt, because that was like her big thing too in the
Mm.
beginning. She was like, "I don't put my name in for extra food because they'll just like sneak out and like kill a deer and
Oh,
then like give it to all my friends." Like that's how she learned how to like
that
shoot with the
makes
bow.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, very cool. I'm very excited
yeah.
to read this. Do you have any other? Are there any other pieces of information you had that we need to go through?
Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm just most excited for this book, getting a little bit more of Haymitch's background, especially with Snow and kind of like how that whole thing went down, which like led him to who he was. And then I really cannot wait to see the arena and like what they do with the arena because that was always the coolest part to me.
Yeah, the
Like,
arena looking like paradise but being incredibly dangerous is definitely
mhm.
piquing my interest as well. And
Yeah.
I assume this is going to go similarly to what you said the very first prequel book went
Hmm.
by, where it's like half of it, or first
Yeah.
150 pages are the Hunger Games, and then there's going to be a bunch of fallout after, because there almost certainly has to be, you would think.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes sense. Like, I would be kind of disappointed if the entire book was the Hunger Games because it's just like, all right, like this is just getting repetitive.
Yeah, we
But
did that book
like,
already.
yeah, I want to know about Haymitch and I want to know about the drama that ensues with a little bit of killing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're in for that. I'm excited to see how Haymitch handled this whole Hunger Games
Hmm.
thing. So, I guess one other quick question I had: did they interview them during the games at all? Like, is it like they interview them, they put them in the arena, then they interview the winner, kind of thing?
Mm-mm. Yeah, they do like the training montage beforehand. Like I don't know how long it is, but it feels like it's like a month maybe
Okay.
where they like kind of go to the Capitol. They're all in like the gym where they're like, "Hey, you should really practice like like this is how you make a fire type deal. Like you should practice with a sword a little bit just so you have some sort of background. And that's where they're doing like one-on-one interviews and like different showcases and stuff like that to try and get people involved.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you don't hear from them again until the end.
Wow. That's going to be sick. I'm very excited for this book now. It's, I mean, like we said at the beginning, it's blowing up, so it should be a fun read.
Yeah, and I think it starts hot and heavy from what I've been like looking at. I think it starts like the day of the reaping or whatever, where they draw for names and stuff like that. Ooh. So you kind of just like hop in with him getting selected, being like, God,
beautiful. That's awesome.
Dude, if I got selected for a Hunger Games, I think I would just accept defeat. I don't even think I would put in the effort to win.
I think if you told like 16-year-old me, I'd be like, dude, I can win this thing. I don't think I would or have the skills to, but I think at 16 I was probably cocky enough to be like, dude, I know what a sword looks like. I can do this.
Especially if you're coming from 12, like where you kind of come out and you're like, you know, I'm the guy here. Like I'm big fish in District 12. And then it's like you go and you see the career dude from District 1. You're like,
yeah. Yeah, he's just doing
like sick, somebody else gets you.
He's just doing like sick tricks with like a sword, and you're like, oh, I thought that was like, heavy.
Yeah, they end up being like Pax and like who was the dude from Dragons?
Tao's big friend.
Tao's boy.
Udwak.
Yeah. Udwak. Yeah, it's like Pax or Udwak, and they're just like there, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, oh. That guy's huge. Yeah. I mean, it's literally like if you went to like a D3 high school or something, and then you went to play like D1 college ball, and you're like, oh,
everybody's fast here.
Yeah, it's guys that are just genetically bigger and stronger than I am. Great.
Yeah, I'm just not built for that. I'm not built for that kind of adversity. I just be like, well, it was a good 15 years.
I'm 100% sprinting at the cornucopia immediately. I'll probably be the first guy that dies in the Hunger Games if I got selected. Dude. I'd be like, dude, I'm grabbing the gun. Like, we don't even have guns.
The first movie started with like when she got in there and she was just standing there and she just froze because they were like, all right, go. And then like half the people ran in, half the people like ran to the woods, and she's just sitting there like star dazed, and it's just 5 minutes of people getting like brutally killed.
No way.
Because like the career people usually made like an alliance, you know, where they're like, we'll get down to the final 5 and then we'll just kill each other.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would expect that for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it should be exciting. I'm pumped. What did we say we were reading for the first section? Just all of part 1?
Yeah, part 1. We'll just do it in the parts that the author broke it into. So yeah, part 1. Okay. That will be our next read, and that will be what the next podcast is about. Ideally, that podcast will come out a week from when you hear this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that, and we will see you then. That was another episode of Project Book Club.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. Send us fan mail.
Yeah, hit us up. Tell us what you think about the book. Let's talk about it. Get in our comments. We'll get in your comments.
Yeah, we'll get in your comments.
Yeah, we'll get in your comments. You get in our comments.
And don't be mean to Victor unless you really think he deserves it.
Yeah, and if you are really mean to Victor and say anything to us on Instagram, we'll make sure that it accidentally gets to him somehow. So, yeah. But no, he'll be back eventually. He's just a busy guy.
Eventually.
We're all busy guys, but we'll make it work. All right, Sunrise on the Reaping next week. Get excited.
Yes, sir.